Mike, oh my days, Mike. I love that track, honestly. I hope you had it on bass speakers. Could you hear it on your headphone?
I thought it was in a rave. I was loving it.
Listen,
top-notch tune.
Mike, welcome to the show. Thank you very much for coming on with me. This is Talk2K. Thank you, viewing audience out there, for coming on as well so early. I do appreciate it. I know that people will start to trickle on as we go through the show. But Mike, how you been? How's everything with you?
Not bad.
How's Paxton Road?
Yeah, Paxton. Yeah, we obviously just we went live earlier this evening in the UK at 8 p.m. There was a bit of a lively debate today on Paxton Road. So it was good. Good thoughts. Good. Everyone's got a different sort of perspective on Spurs, as us fans do. As I say, when Spurs aren't playing, we can't lose, right? So, it's an interesting time at Tottenham, and we just got to take one game at a time and buckle up and enjoy the ride.
I mean, normally on a Tuesday we'd have like a game that we played like maybe on a Sunday. And we might have had a game maybe on a Thursday or a Wednesday or something like that. So there'd be some sort of like something in us, something that's egging us, something that we're feeling. But this week, there's nothing. It's just COVID and each other, really.
Yeah.
Our boys at the team have like got themselves some COVID. Some of their staff have got themselves some COVID. So that's only going to spread, unfortunately. Our shows, our matches are now going to have to be condensed at the end of the season, which is really bad.
That is.
But enough about the doom and gloom. What I'm going to do is I'm going to step back, if you don't mind. And what we're going to do is we're going to start having a little look to see what the lovely viewing audience have come in. Is that crackling from my side or your side?
I can't hear anything.
Okay.
It sounds all crystal clear at my end.
Okay, must have just been my headphones. All right, so let's just quickly step back and see who's watching right now. As usual, Mr. K. Hi, everyone. Come on, you Spurs. Now, normally what happens is me and Eugene, because Eugene normally partners with me on the show. Normally, we try to see who can put the comments up first. And obviously, this week and last week, I won by default. So what can I say? Anyway, Amzo's in the house. Big up, Mr. K. Hope you're well. And don't forget, this is Mike, otherwise known as the Hotspur Tottenham Hustler. Am I right?
Yeah.
Or...
The Hotspur Hustler is
Hotspur Hustler. That's
on
it.
Twitter and on Instagram. But yeah.
Normally, everyone might recognize him because he normally wears a hat.
I always wear my hat. Yeah.
Right. Tottenham Tantrum Gold. Dermot's in the house. Good evening, Mr. K and Kuva 99. Hope all is well. Kuva will be coming on in the next 20 minutes to 25 minutes. I've got him on at 11:30. So normally I don't have too many guests, but because Eugene's not around, I just need all the extra support I can possibly get.
Yeah.
Cody Max in the house. Good evening. Good evening to
Cody.
you. And obviously Dermot saying he's forgotten you, Mike, but he didn't really. Showing the love. Jamie gets in the house. Mr. K, as I live and breathe, made it this time. Well, thank you very much, Jamie. Thank you very much. Honestly, the show wouldn't really be going without you. So I do appreciate that. The lovely Kim B's in the house. Evening, boys. I'm hoping that she might be able to come on a little bit later as well. Kirst is in the house. Big up and lots of love. Thank you very much, Kirst. If any of you guys feel like popping on a little bit later on, it'd be very nice. I think we're going to have one of those type of sort of Spurs community family sort of shows. I think today's going to be. Jason Groves in the house. Big up to everyone. Jason Groves all the way from Nova Scotia. Absolutely beautiful person. Him and me, we disagree about Danny, but that's okay. All got love. And girls, of course. And there you go. Everyone's just going to start saying hello to one another. And it's my roast poke. What's he been up to? Made it this time. Anyway, it doesn't matter. He's asking if it's okay. Ishak Tarafta, just call it Mishak. He's saying hi. Welcome to the stream. Crocodox is in the house. Who's ready for COVID-free Doherty to start against Leicester? I think Mike, I might ask you about those type of things.
What a question.
I mean, the thing is, we got Tanganga. He's not sick as well, is he?
I think that from my understanding, I don't think there's anyone. No, Tanganga isn't. I forgot about COVID. How can I forget that when it's been on sort of every major sort of news outlet out there at the moment? But I don't think Tanganga was one of them.
No.
Okay,
well, I mean, okay. Here's the thing, though. You know when Conte was asked about Rodon, right? What Conte said was that Rodon was behind Dyer in the pecking order. So he had him. He says in his vision he had him as being the person in the center of the defense. Okay, so if that's the case, then where does he see Tanganga then?
It's a good question,
because I would obviously assume that Emerson Royal will be like the number one sort of player that we've got for the right back position in terms of wing back. Would Tanganga be the number two? Because he's made a showing so far, hasn't he? Or is Doherty waiting in the wings?
So that's the $1 million question. It's difficult because for me, Tanganga is he's naturally a centre back by trade. He's been put as a right wing back in my eyes through default. And you could argue like the first couple of games that he played this season at right wing back, or even maybe not right wing back, but more as a right back. I thought he was good defensively, solid. Okay, against Man City, we were pretty much sort of always on the defense, on the defensive side, but he did his job well, and he didn't give the opposition or the wingers on his side, which was Grealish, he didn't give them any time to settle on the ball. And from that perspective, he's great for that, but he hasn't got. He's not naturally a right back, or he's not naturally a wing back, and this is where I think he'll struggle. Which in his last game for Spurs, and I can't even remember off the top of my head who it was. It might have been Leeds. Was it Leeds? No. I can't remember the team that we played where he last featured at right wing back, but I thought he struggled. It might have been West Ham actually, but I don't see him as a right wing back. If anything, and I hate to say it, but Doherty might get that looking because he is a natural right wing back. But question marks over Doherty being good enough to sort of be the backup to Emerson.
I mean, we're talking about a Premier League player, You know, he's been proven to play in the Premier League. May not be at the elite level side of it, not like the Walker that we let go. But having said that, he's got maturity on his side. He can play within a certain capacity if he has the right manager and the right team around him. Yeah. And I think maybe with the 3-4-3 or the 3-4-2-1, whichever one he likes to look at it, this might be an opportunity for him. We're going to need players. We're definitely going to need players. That's a fact.
Yeah, we will. And as I say, I mean, I can't see Conte changing the formation up to play 4 at back unless he absolutely has to. The formation I think he's going to stick with is the 3-4-3. And like you just said there, if the opposition warrants it, he might go 3-4-1-2. But I don't see, unless Tanganga fits in one of those back 3, which if everyone's fit, I don't see it myself.
Okay, here's a second question. We would have assumed that with the way that Conte plays the back 3, it seems to me that the 2 centre backs on either side of the centre one, they have a certain liberty to maybe go forward if the opportunity arises and there's plenty of cover to back them up. So the other 2 defenders will slot in as 2 defenders, and then one of them will run forward like Davis has been doing recently. With that being as it is, Tanganga is perfect for that. And if that's the case, I mean, look, maybe Conte was speaking about the central role and was saying that Dyer is ahead of Rodon, but he never mentioned whether or not whether Romero was ahead of Dyer on that position, or whether Romero is meant to be that right-sided defensive player. If that's the case, then Tanganga gets a number 2 slot behind Romero.
My issues with Tanganga would be from a right back or a right wing back. Let's go right wing back because that's what Conte is going to play. I can't really see him getting much game time there. He might get game time as one of the 3 centre backs, as you've just mentioned. However, from my perspective, I worry about his lack of concentration. And if we're playing against a team who are direct, physical, and they've got big forwards, which I know you could argue, well, there might be the only odd team that has the big sort of centre forward, like the number 9. But aerially,
Burnley's on one of them, isn't
it? Burnley, Everton.
Yeah.
There's quite a few. But I just worry about Tanganga from an aerial perspective. Like if he's having to defend crosses or corners, he's too small for me as a centre back. That's my issue. I think that's where I'm coming from.
Okay, well, Crocodox has got an interesting one over here as a right wing back. A Conte trained Adama Traore would be a thing to behold. The only problem I see with Adama Traore is that I don't think there's that many tricks he can put on top of his. I think he is the finished article. I think this is the best you're going to get out of him.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think,
because he was much worse before.
And I can't see Traore as a right wing back. I think if he was coming into Spurs, he'd be in that front 3 on the right hand side. I couldn't.
I mean, let's face it. When Bergwijn was playing on the right wing, he was doing a lot of defensive duties. The first time I saw him playing there, I think Nuno put him there. And from my perspective, no, was it him or was it Jose? But either way, when he was playing on the right hand side, I saw him doing a lot of defensive work. Yeah. Now, Adama Traore can definitely do that, right? I mean,
I just don't think he can, but I just feel that if you're going to want to get the best out of someone like Traore, he needs to be playing that front 3. That's just my opinion. I think he's. Do you think his name? 3.
Do you think his name being mentioned with our club was like just something like a flight of fancy, a flash in the pan? Or do you think it's going to be one of those ones where he's going to keep popping up every now and again? His agent doing good work.
I think it's the latter. I think his name will crop up now and again, but I can't see him at Spurs. I don't think he's a Conte type of player. And like you say, he's already the finished article.
Yeah,
I think he's that. I don't think you'll get.
There'll be another Doherty in it.
Yeah,
there'll be another Doherty.
That's my only concern with Traore. yeah, I just don't foresee. I don't see how he'd fit into the Tottenham system. I don't see how he would be a Conte type of player. I just can't see it.
Well, it seems to me that everyone in the chat seems to have gone on to Christmas bread and so on. Incidentally, viewers out there, if you can put a little moment, if you possibly can, in your private lives, to maybe send a prayer or some good wishes towards Bob Spur, who's currently not feeling very well. This is really a situation I wouldn't normally ask, but I am asking Spurs community out there, if you can send some prayers towards him, send some goodwill towards him from your heart. I think he's sorely would need it. But thank you anyway for that. Sorry, Mike. Coming back to our team, because now we've got a little bit of extra time where the effect of our team playing twice a week is not pushing our brain to the next level. So now we can relax for a bit and start looking at our team in a little bit more positive light. Because if they're playing twice a week, then twice a week we're going to start pulling our hair out our players, even though we love them. At the same time, we love to hate them too.
True.
So I think that's what's happened. I mean, what's your, now that you've had some time, I mean, how do you feel about our team really, and where do you see that Conte is really going to be taking us to?
So my thoughts as to where we are as a team now, on paper, I think we have got quality on paper. The problem we've got as a club, in my opinion, is the mentality isn't where it should be for a club of our stature, and also for where we want to be, where us fans want the team to be sort of aiming for and sort of I suppose trying to progress to, which is obviously top four. But I think Conte's he's got a bit of work to do. He needs to get that winning mentality, and I trust Conte. I think he will get that mentality sort of instilled into the club.
Do you feel that there's players out there which don't have that particular quality, and therefore they're just going to have to move out?
Yeah, there's a few.
I mean, when you say a few, can you name a few of them?
I think Doherty would be the first one. I don't.
Do you think he doesn't have the mentality?
No,
I think he's a strong character. I mean, he plays the number 10 for his country.
I think with Doherty, he looks like he's scared of his own shadow. I know he plays very well for the Republic of Ireland, and I did see, I think it was the last qualifier that he played in, and he had a very good game. But every time I see him at Spurs, he doesn't do what he's doing for Ireland. But
you could say the same thing about Højbjerg as well, then.
Højbjerg, I think the issue with him is he's been overplayed. I think he's a player that's desperate for rest. He plays every minute of every game almost. Certainly in the Premier League, and I think it was like the last 12 months or something. He'd played between something silly like 50 to 60 games, and he'd played
pretty much every single game.
Which is every single game and every single minute. So
I mean, the times each one of the managers tried to take him off the pitch, like put him on the bench, they had to put him back on.
Yeah, and this is where I'm coming from. So the fear with Højbjerg is we don't want a player like him to suffer with burnout, which could quite easily happen. In a perfect world, I think you'd have a situation whereby you'd have the I suppose the luxury of either playing Højbjerg or Skip, because they kind of are similar sort of players. And then you'd have like a deep line playmaker alongside your Højbjerg or your Skip to provide us with that creativity. You'd have the defensive cover with Højbjerg or Skip, and then you'd have that deep line playmaker to create the chances for us. But
right, Mr. DP is in the house saying hi. Hello, Mr. DP. Thank you very much for coming onto the show. Zero the Hero is in the house. He's saying Traore is a massive mismatch with Conte's system, to be honest. Could he be refit as a right wing back? Perhaps, but not a first choice for anyone. I think we've all agreed that we really need a bit more. We need finesse. We need finesse in that wing. We need someone that's got the ability not only just to run forward, but to also cut in as well. Cut in along the front of the defense to overload that central to slightly in position. What they call it, the underlapping position.
Yeah.
But okay, Jam, you get saying that Doherty does not seem to seem like it belongs in the team. No, I don't think he will. I think originally when there was Jose there, I think the idea of bringing someone like him in was probably a possibility.
Yeah.
I think that idea has completely vanished the moment Jose left, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
Amzo is obviously wishing Bob Spur well, and he's saying basically Bob Spur is one of the best YouTube Spurs supporters out there. You know, everyone wishing him, you know, a lot of love, and hopefully he will. Troy is useful battering around, but the lack of goals is a concern. You know,
he's got no end product. That's his
very, very little
downfall.
You know, it's a bit like what we got. I mean, you know, if you look at Mora, for example, right? Yeah. You know, we've got a very similar sort of situation there where he'll do an awful lot of good stuff running around the ball, but there'd be 1 in 10 or 1 in 20 or something that will actually score a goal, which is a bit like Traore's record, to tell you the truth. He'll make people look stupid. He'll make them look stupid, but at the end of the day, the ball in the back of the net is really what makes people look stupid.
And that's what Mora can do as well. He can make people look silly, and he's great at receiving the ball and turning the player. But once he's turned that player, that's when he starts running around like a headless chicken, because his teammates don't know what he's doing. The opposition don't know what he's going to do, which is a good thing in a way. But if your teammates aren't on the same wavelength as you because they just haven't got a clue what you're going to do next, then how's that going to help you from an attacking perspective? I've always said Mora is the perfect impact player, especially if we're chasing the game. He can turn a game like that because, as I say, fresh legs. He's quick. He's got great fitness and stamina.
He has, as a player, he has something quite devastating to his arsenal, and you know, a lot of top players have got something in their arsenal which is quite devastating. With him, is his strength, his pace, because he won't stop for nobody. He'll rip through people, and people just can't get. Now, Sissoko had something very similar in that respect. You know, so I think to a certain degree, if we're not going to have somebody on the right wing that's going to be like a running back, because that's more or less what they are. If you look at Lennon, for example, you know, he could run across that right wing like you could not believe it. Walker was very fast along that right wing. Mora ain't exactly slow himself.
No.
So if we are going to bring somebody into the right wing, we're going to need somebody who's going to be very, very fast. Right, that goes without saying.
Yeah.
Now, if you're looking at fast, then you can't be dealing with any type of old player. You have to deal with the younger players. So whoever's going to come in on the right wing, Conte eventually will get somebody, and he'll get somebody that will meet those attributes. What would Ishak is asking? What would a decent transfer window be for you?
Really,
you asked this question earlier, didn't you?
Yeah. So a realistic transfer window, which I would be quite happy with, would be 3 players in.
Yeah.
And realistically, if we got 3 players out, I don't think any of us could grumble with that. Especially if those 3 we bring in are improvements to what we've already got in the team squad.
Personally, myself, I think we'd be very lucky to get 2.
It's January as well, which is the most difficult window.
That's what I was saying. Very lucky to get 2. I believe that with all the noise that's been made about the quality of the team, Conte has really put himself in a position where he has no choice but to bring somebody in January. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Now, if you can bring in 2 people, that would be so much better. Bring in 3. I don't think. I don't know. And you know, we're going to find out whether or not Levy's going to pull something out of the hat when it comes to 3.
Well,
how good Paratici may be. I mean, this is really what we needed Paratici for, right?
Yeah.
Not just the first summer window, but really the second, the third, the fourth, the fifth, and then going into the 3rd year, then we just start to see his pattern forming.
I think, I do agree with what you're saying. The thing that kind of could come into our favour is a lot of the players that we're interested in, or what appears to be that we're interested in, the rumour mills going around about, is players who are going to be a freebie in the summer. So if Paratici can work some magic insofar as, look, saying to the clubs that are in question, you know, you're either going to lose him in the summer, or we can give you a bit of money and we can take him in January. In January, and play that card. You might be able to get away with, like I say, a couple of signings. And there's plenty of players out there that are sort of going to be free agents in the summer. So I think as Spurs fans, we've just got to be realistic and be like, well, if we can get rid of some of this deadwood in terms of deadwood mentality out of the club.
Right, Andy Lloyd's in the house. Welcome. Ward Prowse. I mean, the name Ward Prowse has been mentioned along with our team for a long time. I'm going to leave that one there for a second. Spursy141 is in the house, otherwise known as Judge Jody. Yes, ma'am. Right, thank you very much for coming to the show, Andy, as well. But coming back to here, Ward Prowse, basically, a finished product. Somebody who's playing in a team that's well below his level. He reminds me an awful lot of Saha at Crystal Palace.
Does he?
Where he's just too good for the team. And he should be playing for someone a little bit more. But, is he someone that we realistically bring in? And I
could. Realistically, and I mean, he's at Southampton at the moment, isn't he? So this would be a big step up for him. But is he the type of player we need? He reminds me. He reminds me a little bit of Harry Winks.
We do need to score goals off set pieces, i.e., corners and free kicks.
And that would be a huge plus for him to cut, like for Tottenham. Yeah, having him for the free kicks, set pieces. But that alone, I just don't know if that's enough.
Ishak is saying that he's heard 5 in, 5 out. Listen, Giza, if 5 come in or 5 leave, right? Yeah, I will personally go find Levin kiss his bald head, right? But don't hold me to that because I'm not a tattoo person. Kim B is saying, whack a like and a subscribe, you lovely people. Kisses from her. Mike, I've totally forgotten to do something, and I'm getting close towards the time when I need to bring some people in. But very quickly, before I do that, I just want to introduce Vagabond79. Thank you very much for coming to the show. Transfer window, at least 1 new central defender, 1 creative midfielder. That's 2. A proper striker, 3. Ideally, we need 2 defenders. That's 5. So basically, pretty much he wants everything sold by January.
Ain't gonna happen. I agree with what he's saying. Like in those positions, we do need to strengthen. But a realistic one for me would be a centre back, a deep line playmaker, and a right winger.
Right, Gaguma's in the house. Good evening, Gaguma. Thank you very much for coming to the house. And obviously, Paul Russell's in the house saying, evening, all free agents, would they want to come to Spurs? I think the answer is with Conte there and money everywhere. Why not? All this talk about Vlahovic, Kessie, and how do you pronounce that name? Davies? Davies. Davies. Okay, a couple of weeks ago, now they're all going somewhere else, apparently. No, look, players, when it comes to players and agents and talk, it's generally used as a detriment to Tottenham, probably because they're trying to get a contract somewhere else. But trust me, when action happens, I think Prachi is going to surprise us all. Mike, I'm just going to quickly put up the picture for the patrons and the members, and I'm just going to quickly go through, just letting everyone know who our lovely patrons and who the YouTube members are. And these people, they keep the lights on coming on at the Will Stewart's THFC Rants channel. That's Spartan7 Gaming, Wayne Bonner, Momo Coates, Celery Agent, AG, Gaguma, Tony Co, Alex Burton, Bob Spur TV, John N, and Colin Lumsden. And the YouTube members are Matt Hayes, Cisays, Danny Criaco, Wayne Bonner, Dan THFC, otherwise known as the Yud Kid, Tony Co, Scott M, Kieran McDonald, Tottenham Tantrum, Colin Lumsden, Kenneth Tottenham Hotspur, Dave Jones, and also I do believe Eunice is also a YouTube member as well. We just need to get his name on there. Many apologies. I think Will's not been that well this week, so he's not had the opportunity to do that. But thank you very much for all of those people there. They've been contributing towards this particular channel and keeping it going. So I do appreciate that. If any of you guys out there want to become a patron or a YouTube member, please do press the join button. Or alternatively, get in touch regarding Patreon, which I think should be in the description at some point or another. Thank you very much for coming anyway. I do appreciate that. And if you can click a like or a subscribe if you haven't already, that'd be absolutely fantastic. Okay. Tottenham Tantrum. Hi, Mr. K and Mike. Hope all is well with both you both. The main transfer window will be in the summer. I think to a certain degree, I think everyone has got some caution is saying that. If on the other hand you're a very optimistic sort of person, you're going to say, hey man, we're going to grab some really nice key people in January. I don't know. I really don't know. This is where we're going to find out about Prachi, because he's going to look a bit further afield. Now the problem is if he gets rid of somebody who's who's a foreign national, and then brings in a foreign national, that doesn't present too much of a problem. But if he gets rid of someone who happens to be in our personal quota for homegrown, say for example Dali Ali, then realistically, who can you bring in? What was that? Something on that? I mean, who can he really? I mean, he's gonna have to bring someone in from the UK. And Jay Ashraf's in the house. Hello, Mr. K and Mike. The problem is that obviously Reload is in the house as well. XXX. I don't see how it's possible to get players of that type of quality that we need in the January window from the UK, from the homegrown players. I mean, unless you go to some really top team like Man City or Manchester United or someone like Chelsea, and they've got loads of players that are knocking around doing absolutely nothing. They could be the only other ones.
It's going to be interesting.
I mean, if you're going to go for anything lower, then you might as well give your own youth a chance.
Well, I don't know how I think our homegrown quota is not too bad because of the fact that we've, from my understanding, I think you can register in terms of the academy players. I think it's unlimited. You can register any amount of academy players to the first team squad for Premier League. So I don't know how that.
Yeah, they don't need registering.
So I don't know how that in itself affects our homegrown quota. I don't know if that plays.
No, I think you have to be playing for at least 3 years.
Is it 3 years?
Yeah, you have to be playing for your club for at least 3 years in order for you to qualify for that. And so if you got players which are like, I don't know, 18 or something, they're going to be too young. They wouldn't have done 3 years. I think it's from 15 upwards though. So maybe if someone started when they're very, very young. But either way, it's something that's always plagued Spurs. It's one of the reasons why we've had to play certain players because we don't have a choice.
Yeah.
I'm going to have a quick little look at the bottom over here because I can see another message that arrived. I don't know. He's talking about Italians there and so on. There's another comment that's arrived. I'm just waiting for it to pop up there. Don't worry. It'll eventually chop. Oh, I've gone past it. Right. It says first time I ever had to. I think he's talking about COVID. Oh my days. Everyone's talking about COVID now. Okay. But Jamie Pretty's turned up with a nice name, Kelvin Phillips from Leeds. Now, the problem I've got with Calvin Phillips is that he's really going to be playing in the role that Skip plays or Højbjerg plays.
Agreed.
So what's the point of getting another player just like that? He's a good player. Don't get me wrong. He's a very good player, exciting. Still a bit young. Not necessarily the finished article, but then, you need to put him in a top team to get that done.
Yeah, definitely. I can't see that transfer happening, though. Not with Skip and Højbjerg.
Well, that's the issue.
Wouldn't make sense.
Sometimes we, at Spurs, we tend to put too many midfielders in. We tend to like buying them, and we tend to keep our defenders forever. And our goalkeeper, we just don't want to change him. Oh, that's an interesting thing. You remember discussion last year, at the beginning of last year, there was a discussion about what type of goalkeepers we could get. There was that French goalkeeper, Mainon or something. There was Donnarumma, and eventually all of these goalkeepers eventually found homes. Right. And then we ended up with nobody until last summer, and then we got Golini. Now, do you think fans have written Golini off?
I don't know why if they have, because
I mean you've heard the talk about people saying, look, Hugo is getting old, we need to get a replacement. Well, the point is we've got Golini there, but they're talking as if Golini's like a backup. Like he's just there for. I mean, Golini's only
what is he? 26.
Yeah, he's big enough.
So he's still for a goalkeeper. He's still very young. Goalkeepers don't really hit their peak until they're in their 30s. They get better with age. So it'd be interesting to see what happens when Hugo goes. I mean, I'd hope we keep hold of him just for another year if we haven't got any. If we haven't got any sort of keepers in mind that we've been doing, like from the scouting, which I use in loose sense, but in the scouting that we've done recently, I'd like to keep Hugo for another season until we found an ideal replacement. I wouldn't want us to rush into buying a goalkeeper and then actually find out, he's not good enough, because it just won't do us any good, and we'll end up having to buy another goalkeeper. So if you want to do it properly, fine, go out and do the scouting, but don't bring anyone in just in a panic, because it never works out well.
I'm gonna have a quick look at Vagabond 79's question, but before I do so, I just want to introduce Kuva99 to the stream. Kuva, how are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Mr. K. Hello, Mike.
Thank you very much for coming on.
I review very often.
No, but it's I do appreciate the fact that you managed to come on the lastminute.com. I did want a few people today so we could talk about a variety of subjects. The question over here that we're currently talking about right now is Golini, in the eyes of some of the Spurs fans, have they written him off? Do they feel that he's not good enough as a replacement for Hugo and will forever remain a number 2 goalkeeper? I mean, what's your thoughts on Golini, Kuva?
I've seen absolutely nothing to convince me he's a Premiership standard goalkeeper so far.
Right, but so what have you seen him do that makes you feel that way?
Was
the lack of doing?
It's the lack of doing. He's stationary.
Right.
He doesn't close people down very quickly. He can't seem to stop long shots. He's flapping at crosses. He just looks like it makes Joe Hart look like a better option at times. That's saying something. Perhaps that's harsh, but you've got to go with what you see, really, haven't you?
I agree.
The only thing I'd say on the back of that is De Gea's first season at Manchester United was very similar. He was awful at set pieces, and that's because he's coming from a different league whereby the ball's not spent so much time in the air like it is in the Premier League. But the thing with anything, it's one of them. I think you just have to give him time and just see what he's about. And the only way you're going to get better is if you get opportunities, isn't it? So it's
Perdomax in the house. Big up, Mr. K, Mike, and Kuva99. Big up to you as well, Perdomax. Please no arguing with Scott today. No arguments with Scott. They're both very nice people. And what's this? Andy Lloyd saying he's having visions of Levy signing Vaughan back if Lloris doesn't sign a new contract. That would be something Levy would think of.
No, I can't see that ever happening.
I think it's a bit too late for that one, even for Levy.
Form's not even good. He's never been a top class keeper, which is what we need. I wouldn't even have him as a third choice.
Will Stewart's asking any news on Son. Is he available for Thursday? And Mr. DP has answered him saying Son is too busy interviewing Avengers and Spider-Man. So pretty much there. But Ishaq, we're not really comparing De Gea to Golini in terms of their exceptional qualities. It's more got to do with the type of first year that they both had. It's true, when De Gea came in, I think it was a decision that Ferguson made, and people were criticizing it. And then look at him since then. He's so good. And Scott M's in the house. Me argue? What are you talking about, Mr. K? No, you're not the type to argue. Luca 14's in the house. Hi to you all. And Will is actually saying, look, it is a serious question. But before I go on to serious questions, I want to introduce the absolutely lovely Kim. Kim B, how are you? You can drink your water. I can put you away. No problem.
Cheers, guys.
There you go. All right. Kim, we're talking about a position that doesn't get talked about very much in the last few weeks, which has got to do with the goalie's position. Are you like Kuva, where you believe that Golini hasn't impressed you enough to say that he's a Premier League goalkeeper, or are you still holding out hope that he just hasn't had time to adapt yet?
A little bit of both. I'm Golini ambivalent, really. I keep hearing people telling me that he's not a Premier League player, and to be honest, I don't think I've seen enough of him to make up my mind whether he is or isn't. So yeah, couldn't say one way or the other.
Well, everyone's sending you some bear love inside the chat, which is fantastic.
Okay.
It's all there. It's all there to see.
Okay.
The thing is that we're relying too much on Hugo, just the same way we relied so much on Kane. And that seems to repeat itself in our club a bit too much. Vagabond 979 is saying that Golini has mostly played in awful Spurs sides. We won't really see what he's about until he's given a proper chance. The problem is this, right? Yeah, is that what distinguishes a good goalkeeper from an average goalkeeper is that when their team is playing like shite, he pulls out saves. He saves the team. De Gea's done it, Hugo's done it, and all the top goalkeepers out there do it. I've not seen that part of his characteristic where I've seen him pull something out of the bag and say, wow, okay, you know what? There's something to this guy. All I've seen him do is have the confidence to strut himself and present himself in a good way, which is a good thing. But I'd like to see a bit of skill between the sticks. The main thing is he's let too many goals in his left-hand side, like between him and the post. Sorry, Kim, you carry on. Jump in, Kim, whenever you need to.
Yeah, just to play devil's advocate, what I would say to that is if Lloris had come in, played a game, hadn't played the next game, you know, maybe he'd had a couple of games breaks, then played a game here, and then not played for another 3 games, would we be saying the same thing about Lloris?
I think we're very lucky with Lloris then.
Well, Lloris got eased into the team to start with, didn't he? He just played in a few cup matches as well.
Yeah. I think the other thing is that Hugo had already made his name. You know, he wasn't coming into our team to make a name. He'd already made a name. And you know, the quality was there for us all to see. The question is that do we look? I like Golini. I personally like him. I like his personality. I like his character.
Yeah, I like his attitude.
I like the fact that he's already played quite a season for another team already as their main goalkeeper. So that was Atlanta. I think somebody mentioned it in the comments as well. Potomax over here saying that he agrees with Vagabond that give Golini a run of games. I think that goes along with what you're saying, Kim. Kuba, you know, you're not very forgiving nowadays. What other players have you? What other players do you feel that, you know, if we had an opportunity to get rid of in the January and summer windows, that people don't really talk about too much, but they're really gone off your tree? What would you say? Is there any player that catches your eye that needs a firm boot?
Don't talk about too much. That's an interesting one.
Yeah.
No, because we do talk about them. It's the likes of Dele Alli and Ndombele and Harry Winks. Harry Winks, unfortunately, because I think he has got the right attitude. He's just hideously off form and doesn't look like he's getting it back. I think he needs to go to restart his career somewhere. Ndombele, how long have we had him now? This is the 3rd season. The bloke can hardly even be fit to stay on the pitch for 90 minutes. What's the point?
Well, if that's the case, then you can look at people like, for example, Lo Celso. You can look at Bergwijn.
Yeah, you can.
You know, you've got people there that we believed will be able to make a difference, but at this current particular point they can't. Mike, can you just quickly take over some of the comments for a second? I'm just going to quickly pop out for one teeny second.
Yeah, I don't know if I can actually, Mr. K, with the comments. I don't think I've got access to.
Sorry, you won't be able to highlight them, but you can read them out. I'm going to quickly. I'll be back in 1 second.
Okay. I don't actually know if I can click on the comments here because I've got no access to it. But going back to your point, Kuva, on the players that Mr. K said about we don't talk too much about. With regards to Ndombele, I think he is very much a case of he is a player that could make a difference.
He is, but how often does he do it?
And that's the problem.
You don't pay 200 grand a week for somebody that turns on a bit of style once every 15 games. What's the point?
Do you think he's been given a fair crack of the whip though?
Yeah, he doesn't even get himself fit.
Jose, didn't he?
There's taking the piss, and then there's Ndombele. Because I think with Ndombele, I think the first season he came in, a large part of that under Pochettino, who was injured. Then he comes in, he plays under Jose Mourinho, who we ended up playing in a low block, which you could argue may not have suited Ndombele's style of play. I know he can break the and I know he can play that sort of deep lying playmaker, but I don't think that's him. I think he's a number 10 naturally. Then you've got him under Mason, who he didn't really have much of an idea. And then there's Nuno, which when you look at all the players, I don't think any of them wanted to play for him. And then under Conte, it just feels like perhaps he's not being given a chance compared to some of the other players. Well,
because if you look at Davis, for example, Davis, I was one of them who wrote Davis off. I didn't think Davis was good enough for Spurs. I was like, no, he's one of those players that could go. Same as Dyer, same as Sanchez. To be fair,
I'm absolutely on the Dyer train.
And Kim, you've probably heard me many a time on Paxton say, "Oh yeah, those three, get rid of them," especially Davis. But Davis has been given a chance, and he's hit the ground running. To be fair to him under Conte, and I think he's probably one of the first names on the team sheet at the moment. But I don't know if you could say, "Oh, Ndombele's been given that chance under Conte." It's just my thoughts. I don't know what everyone else thinks.
Do we have an alternative centre back that can play with his left foot though?
What, to Davies?
No. Well, Rodon potentially.
Well, I think that seems to answer our question that he is going to be one of the first people put on the team sheet, because there isn't anyone that really can take his position away from him without compromising the team's defensive integrity. You know, the way I look at it is that it's important for the players to step up with a new manager coming in.
I suppose where I'm coming from this is if Conte can get a tune out of Dyer and Davis, surely with the talent that Ndombele has, it's not a question mark over his quality. It's a question mark as to whether he can sort Ndombele from a mental perspective. Which if he can, then we've got potentially a world-class player on our hands. But it's just whether...
That's kind of the wrong way round for Conte, though, isn't it? He prefers to have a player that might have limited ability, but has got a great attitude. You're seeing that in Dyer. You're seeing that in Davis. Ndombele, is there anybody that can honestly say that he doesn't look like a bone-idle player? I'd love to know somebody that honestly thinks he puts in a shift every week, because I'm not seeing it. And I think the position he's not suited to is a Premier League football pitch. I think he needs to be playing. I think he needs to be playing in Italy or Spain, somewhere like that. A bit of a slower speed to the game. Then he can show his abilities, and where he doesn't have to work so hard. But
then you know what happened? He'll turn into an absolute well beaten. We'll regret selling him.
No,
that's always happens at Spurs.
Yeah, it will happen. But I mean, what do you want? Somebody that fails there to meet their potential here, or if they're elsewhere? Who cares if they're elsewhere? It's just you don't want to pay 200 grand a week to watch nothing.
Look, Vagabond 79. Sorry, Vagabond 79. Maybe you've seen Ndombele like play before somewhere in previous teams and like Lyon and so on. He says that Ndombele played as a deep lying playmaker in a double pivot in Lyon with great success. So wrong position is not a valid reason why he's not performed consistently in different systems so far. The issue is elsewhere. I mean, the good thing about Vagabond is that he hasn't turned around and said, look, this is what it is, or that's what it is. He's just said, listen, it ain't this. And I think that's the best way to deal with the situation, to say what something isn't. He's played in that position before with other people. Sorry,
a deep lying playmaker in the French league compared to a deep lying playmaker in the Premier League. You're still talking about two different leagues, two different styles of football. Essentially, like the English game's quick paced. I think a deep lying playmaker in the Premier League is kind of going to have different requirements to fulfill than in the French league, if that makes sense. I think there'd be more asked of you if you're playing, for example, as a deep line playmaker in the Premier League. I think there'd be more asked of you as a player, and there'd be more demands on you from the physical aspects and the amount of ground you'd still be required to cover, perhaps maybe than the French league.
I just want to welcome David Good evening, David. Thank you very much for popping in and leaving some comments behind. Basically, he's saying that we're very thin in the middle. Must bring someone in this January. So if we look at the middle of our pitch, we've got Winks. We've got the invisible Ndombele. We've got the Celta can play middle as well. And then we've got the Højbjerg and Skip. So from that combination, can we really afford to bring someone in without chucking one of those people out?
Well, to be honest, I'll keep Skips and...
I forgot Dele Alli as well. Totally forgot that.
Yeah, well, easily done.
Easily done. Right, so if you count how many that is, that's about 6 players already.
Well, you could argue you could take out three of those 6 straight away. You could get rid of Lo Celso, like Kuva said. You could get rid of Ndombele. You could get rid of Ali. You could bring in 3 central midfielders, maybe not defensive, but you could bring in certainly sort of more, maybe a box to box, more of a deep line playmaker, maybe an actual number 10, just to give a bit of variety in the middle there. I know you could argue, well, that's what those three that we would get out, or just mentioned getting out, technically could be, but Lo Celso's constantly injured, like Kuva said, and Ndombele, you can't really get a tune out of him at the moment, and Dele Alli doesn't seem to want to be there, so players out and bring him in.
I want to welcome Kieran Craze to the stream. Thank you very much for popping in. Fans need to have the same energy towards Lo Celso. 1 goal and 3 assists in 3 seasons. That's awful. 45 million. Yeah. You know what it is? I like Lo Celso. I like all the players that we've got in our squad. The only problem is I can't deny the fact that we bought a player and he's hardly played that much, made hardly any impact, and he's been here so long, 2.5 years now. I don't know what we're going to do with Lo Celso. But then, having said that, we can all see there's a good quality player in there somewhere. So
this reminds me of Lamella. He's another Lamella.
I prefer Lamella.
I prefer Lamella.
I'm on about injury record. He's going to spend more time on the injury treatment table than he is on the pitch. What's the point?
I think Lamella had loads of niggling little things, whereas this guy's got he had some serious accidents. Okay, Paul Russell saying Neves would be great for us. I think Neves is coming towards the end of his contract as well, sometime soon. So
he's at Wolves, isn't he?
Yeah, he's at Wolves. Are we likely to get someone like that? I don't know. I don't think that's possible in a January transfer window. Just certainly not possible. Will Stewart is saying Lo Celso and Ndombele need to go, and if they were to go, how much money would we save a week just with those 2 players?
Even if you just get them out on loan and somebody pays their wages at the time being, it's
well, the thing is,
200, isn't he, a week?
He's on 200. I mean, Lo Celso must be on what, 120, 150 easily.
I'm not sure what Lo Celso is.
Yeah, he's got to be around that.
The real question is who is going to pay that kind of money, because I don't see anybody doing it.
Here's an interesting one Mr. DP's kind of pointed out, because I fear Romero will end up the same as Lo Celso, Lamella, and you know what? There's a list that goes longer than those 2. Is there something about our Spurs medical team, or is there something about the Spurs recruitment team?
Well, I think Romero's injury was unfortunate. It wasn't even for Spurs, was it? It's at Argentina. No. So you could say Argentina are at fault for the whole international debacle is just that's a different.
The point which I wanted to make was why is it always us? why is it always us?
Yeah.
You know,
you can ask that about so many things with their damn club, couldn't you?
No, but the thing is that look. Okay. The whole thing about the Spursy thing, right? Yeah, I kind of figured that had something to do with the upper management, right? Yeah, recruitment policy of getting players in that don't have big gumption, you know, because if they're big gumption, they're going to fit into the squad very well. They're going to turn around and slap Levy a few times, and you know he's probably had that experience already, and probably doesn't want to go anywhere near it. So he likes those type of players that he can put his arm around and say, "Yeah, I'm the daddy," you know. Everyone look at me. And I think those type of
Danny Rose, didn't you? The minute Danny Rose started questioning our activities, our business activities, Levy was like, "No, bounce you down to the reserves."
I think Danny kind of a lot of the times made his own problems, but then he'd been in the club so long he could sit on the naughty step if he wanted to. We don't mind. But over here Lo Celso's first injury was Argentina also. So the point here is it seems to be some sort of bad luck that seems to run with our club, or is it just normal? Do other teams go through the same thing as we do? I mean,
sorry, go on. Answer.
I was going to say otherwise. Cody Mack saying that we took the risk when we bought Romero. He had a knee injury we knew about. That's a pun there. One injury leads to another. Soft tissue injury is worrying. I hope they let him heal fully. Sorry, Kuva, you were saying.
Yeah, I think the hamstring injury, you can't really account for that. Any player overstretching is going to do that potentially. So I think you've got to really look at the long-term traits with him, and it's too early to tell, in my opinion. But we do have a worrying sort of habit of picking up injury-prone players lately, don't we?
But is it a case of players now getting played they're playing too many games. Like we look at Højbjerg, he's played 50, 60 games in what, a space of 12 odd months.
And
how he hasn't picked up an injury, touch wood, is beyond me. But
our squad is so threadbare that we do have to overplay players, don't we? And
Too
I think
much.
that's the consequence of it.
The thing is, if we're overplaying players the last 3 years, that's down to empty transfer windows from before. Sad to see, unfortunately. I don't want to go over that one. The question here is that, you know, players like Højbjerg, they do exist. They're built like brick houses, and they do exist. They're just not every player's like that, unfortunately. And that is, unfortunately, if you're going to make up a team of players, you're not going to end up with more than 2 players like Højbjerg at all per Premier League team. Guys, I wanted to, a couple of things came up, unfortunately, so I'm not going to make this stream 2 hours like I normally plan to do. I hope nobody minds too much. But unfortunately, something has come up. I had to run away a little bit earlier to deal with it. I may have to go back to deal with things. But I thought I'd let everyone know now, in advance, that's really the case, just in case everyone's going to like come back later on after 1.5 hours and say, "Where's the show? Where's the show?" But Kim, you know, I don't get to see you that often in the streams, and you know, I really wanted to find out a few more bits and pieces in terms of what your view of our team is like. Do you have some sort of like favorite striker out there that you feel that would be absolute perfect fit for Tottenham, or is it the old Vlahovic? Forget about who might be available, who might not be available. In your mind, if you could pick anybody at all, apart from Haaland and Mbappe and Messi, is there someone that catches your eye when it comes to a striker position that can keep Kane on his toes?
I was going to say Harry Kane of 2 seasons ago before you put that final bit on there.
Yeah.
Not really. I mean, I think we have got one of the world's best strikers at the club. We do need backup. I just hate this nonsense argument that what players have come to sit under Kane and sit on a bench, blah blah blah. It just doesn't work for me. Bloody hell, we all lived through in very recent history, Jermaine Defoe, Darren Bent, Robbie Keane, you know, Dimitar Berbatov, blah blah blah. It's just such a nonsense argument. You know, other teams have really good players, and other players will sit there and vie for their position or play alongside them. It's just such a rubbish argument. As to who that'd be, I really don't know. I mean, there's so much has been said about Vlahovic, and it's almost what happened to that Weghorst guy that we were linked with. Were we actually properly linked with him, or was he?
Who's that, a Dutch striker?
Yeah,
the youngster
guy. He was about 17 foot tall, wasn't he?
Yeah, he's about 6'8", isn't he? Something similar
yeah,
like that.
he's about 6 foot.
He's a big old unit, isn't he?
He is. Yeah.
I haven't heard much about that. To be fair, I didn't hear the name be mentioned, but
we've been quite strongly linked with him at one stage, I believe.
Yeah. It's a good question, Mr. K. I don't know who else we could be linked, or who else we could bring in other than the names that you've mentioned.
Yeah.
I mean, don't forget, there's a very young man that's been. Do you think there's any possibility that Chelsea might sell Gallagher?
Not to us.
Yeah, why would they sell anyone to us? I love Gallagher at Spurs. I think he's a great player, top player,
tenacious,
and he would only get better. He would only get better, but. Why is Chelsea do us a favour?
He's been on my radar. He's been on my radar for quite a long time now, because I had him as one of the wonder kids in my Football Manager save many years ago. So I'm kind of glad he's in the Premier League and playing around. Belotti's on a free. Fair enough. Italian sounding.
We've been leaked with him as well, but he's not. He's not really a centre forward though, is he?
Not quite.
Guy, wasn't there?
He's a midfielder, really.
You mean Lautaro Martinez?
Yeah.
Yeah, Martinez. But he's not going to leave Inter Milan.
But he might do. I mean, he spent half a season there now without Lukaku, right? So if he spends another half season without Lukaku, he might be willing to leave. And Inter might need the money.
But Inter aren't going to let him go cheap, and I don't know. I just can't see it. Do you know what will probably end up happening? Is we end up getting Gareth Bale, and he'll come in as a backup to Kane. That's probably what you'll find will happen.
Andy Carroll's contract at Reading's up.
Oh yeah, I saw about Andy Carroll.
50 million. 50 million Liverpool paid for him. All right, Kuva, I wanted to ask you a question because maybe or Kim and Mike might be able to jump into this one. But in the past, when you look at Spurs, do you feel that they've had better strikers than midfielders, or do you think they've had better midfielders than strikers?
It always used to be the case. We would sign top quality strikers and top quality goalkeepers, and the rest of it just didn't matter too much. We had a homegrown talent coming through the midfield all the way through 70s and 80s. The likes of Hoddle and Nicky Hazard, and then we got Ozzy Ardiles in. The midfield was always oozing quality. But you looked at the likes of Clive Allen having his miraculous season, nearly 50 goals in it. Gary Lineker, Berbatov, Robbie Keane, you name it, right the way through, even from the early 80s, without Steve Archibald. We had top quality strikers on a regular basis, well known for it. One of my friends, he's a Forest fan, and he said, you know what, the one thing I always like about Spurs is if you're struggling to win games, you just go out and buy another striker.
Did we stop doing that? Did we stop doing that and Manchester United took it up?
We've absolutely stopped doing it. Yeah.
We went flat broke, and it sort of carried on from there. We're starting getting a little bit more choosy about things. I mean, Sugar had to fund most of the signings out of his own pocket, sort of thing.
We know the current administration has never spent their own money.
Yeah, we won't go any further to the current lot.
Well, I mean, look. As much as I've said bad things about so-called, the upper management and so on, the way I look at it, right now, if we look at the club right now, we see the fact that the whole world has been in COVID. It's coming out of it. Everyone's going to be financially buggered up. We've actually got a wonderful asset, i.e. the stadium and all the bits and pieces that go around it. We don't look like we're in a position where we're going to suddenly liquidate. We've been in the top half of the table for a very long time. We've been recognized as one of top 6 teams in the United Kingdom as far as the European Super League is concerned. We've now got one of the best managers on the planet. I think to a certain degree, the club is starting to look like a good prospect for players and staff to come into. It's slowly looking there now. Is it us fans that were too impatient?
Yeah. All fans are impatient, aren't they? Sorry, Mike.
No. You go. I agree with what you're about to say. By the sounds
of course, we're impatient. We've been starved of trophies. I mean, we're world famous. I mean, double winning side in the '60s. We popularised the push and run system to the modern day in this league of ours. We were front runners at everything. The FA Cup used to be ours. It used to be the Tottenham Hotspur trophy, didn't it? I mean, how long since we won that? 30 years now. It's ridiculous.
It's been far too long.
Like that lot down the road. Oh God, that lot.
Listen, David, Irish Hotspurs in the house. He just wanted to say Harry Kane. That is all.
He's got a good point.
You know what it is?
Got a good point. Harry Kane's not just overnight turned bad. He's just got I mean, how many years has he been banging in goals, getting back-to-back Premier League top goal scorers? Yeah.
Listen, I don't want to get this show going on a bit too long. Otherwise, I might end up here for the 2 hours and then get in very big trouble over there, right? Yeah. When I get off this, so I really like to get this thing wrapped up, right? Yeah. I just want to do this couple of last comments that Irish Hotspur saying the Audi Cup, Kuva. How dare you not count that trophy?
He's trolling.
He's trolling you, Kuva. It's trolling you, definitely.
Trophy's a trophy.
But listen, before I start, I'm very sorry, viewers out there, that I am cutting the show a little bit short. I do have 1 or 2 things which have come up in the family, which I do need to take care of. Unfortunately, there's only one me in the family. Don't know what it is. Only I can do certain things. But viewers out there, I do want to thank you for turning up. What I would like to do is I'd like to quickly go around the panel, if possible, and ask you guys, do you guys appear in other shows? Kim, you don't really appear in any shows, do you? You just, apart from pop up in every now and again.
Not really.
Is there anything? Is there anything recently? Is there anything that you're about to do in the next week or so that you're likely to let us know about now? Or or is it ad hoc?
Well, I've got to big up your show. It was one of the first ones I fell in love with. So I don't want to make that.
I'm sorry, the show's been a bit short today. Honestly, I really do need to cut it. Unfortunately, something's come up, and I need to blur it away. I would probably never do this if Eugene was here. So, I'll find some reason and excuse. You know what it is? I genuinely miss Eugene on the show, and viewers out there, I know you miss Eugene as well. But I think I personally miss him. It's amazing how much you need someone. You don't realize until they're not there. But right now he's working, so can't really be doing that. Kuva, are you popping on any shows recently? Maybe Tottenham Tantrum, maybe watching an old classic or something? You want to big something up right now?
We're starting to incorporate doing some of the classic sort of highlights in the mornings now as well, with our morning coffee and the sort of casual chat, usually with Ben Kaufman as well. But otherwise, we're carrying on with what we've been set out to do in the first place, which is worshipping our heroes of days gone by. So, other than that, I'm popping around the channels. So funny you mentioned Eugene. I've been on his show a few times lately. Always fun. Such a lovely bloke to have a chat with. And Tottenham on tour. The two Brians and.
I love the two Brians. They're absolutely fantastic people. Love Brian Ireland. I love to go and argue with him.
Generally, otherwise, I'm doing the same as a lot of us and going around far too many channels because we're all starting to know each other too well.
Yeah.
Well, no. Normally I have Eugene. We normally plan the show in advance, but I didn't get the opportunity to do that properly for this show. So that's me being underprepared. But secondly, at the same time, I've got the missus looking at me, and I need to make a move soon. Mike, when can people find you? I know you're on Paxton Road. Are you on anything else other than Paxton Road?
No, I'm predominantly on Paxton Road. Obviously, like Kuva just said, go around, do the rounds on the other channels now and again. But yeah, ultimately, you can find me on Paxton Road. Kim, yourself's been on there. You, Mr. K, you're a frequent guest on the show. We're gonna have to get Kuva on there as well. Eventually. So yeah, we'll arrange that at some point.
Mike, I've been promising you guys to get back onto the Tuesday show for the last 2-3 months. I still haven't got on there yet. I'm going to slowly work my way through there, but for the time being, many apologies. And viewers out there, if you get a chance or a minute, please do. Can you send some prayers and best wishes to Bob Spur? Right now, he's in a medical situation, so please, if you can do that, that'd be really, really great. Paul Ross is saying, thank you, gents, Kim and Grab, and it's a great show. I'm very sorry it's a short show. Normally, I've never done a show this short ever. But listen, Mr. K, great job. And now end it off before you get into trouble. You know something? David knows me very, very well. Viewers out there, I'm going to pop into the ending bit there. But before I do so, I'm going to quickly pop some people to the back. Kim and Kuva, I'll let you jump into the back for a second. Can we use spares? And that leaves just you and me, Mike. Yes, and normally, any final thoughts on this week before you call the show to an end?
As we mentioned previously earlier this evening, all I was just hoping, and this is how it got a bit debated on Paxton Road, but I was just hoping, all I want from Spurs is just progression. Just as long as I see progression in Spurs under Conte, which I think we are seeing progression, we're getting the results, we're keeping clean sheets. Rome wasn't built in a day, but yeah, I just want to continue to see progression. I'm not expecting miracles this season, but I certainly want progression.
Cuba, you naughty man, you. Listen, we're gonna make a move before everyone starts taking the mic. Listen, viewers, thank you very much for tuning in. Obviously, if you can like and subscribe, that would be really handy. If you feel that some comments that you want to put down, maybe we're doing something wrong with the show, please do let me know. Any hints and tips, what you would suggest for next week, please do put them down. I will be reading them. And come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
I got broads in Atlanta. She took the lean in the family. Credit cards in the scammers. Getting no list in the bank. Legacy.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Let's go now.